a trip to Insanity Island.
We're live, babies.
Whoa! We are live.
Well, actually, we're not live. We're recording. So, we're lively recording.
Hey! Richard isn't here to keep us in check today, guys. I mean, this could get scary. This could get scary.
Gloves are off. Gloves are off.
Well, he's the only. Yeah, but Richard's the only one that keeps me from going to jail. So I'm a little scared.
We could go to prison over this episode. Okay.
I damn sure could.
Go. We got Dr. Todd. We got Pendo. We got myself, T. Mitch. We're ready to roll, and here we go. First topic. Okay. Ron DeSantis. Okay. He's in Iowa. He's making speeches. He's going around. He was criticized in an article in the Wall Street Journal that just came out, the weekend edition. So this would be yesterday's Wall Street Journal, Saturday's. Today is June 4th, 2023. So this was June 3rd's Wall Street Journal, saying that Ron DeSantis is deficient in his personality. So, whoa. I thought the reason so many Republicans wanted to go with DeSantis is because Trump had a bad personality. Now, all of a sudden, the Wall Street Journal is exposing Ron DeSantis' horrible personality, which it is. It is pretty known in Florida that he's an introvert and he does not have a good personality at all. So, I've
never heard that before in my life.
Well,
until this article came out, I never heard that.
Okay, well,
ever.
Well, so we have a battle of personalities here. Trump being have a good personality, DeSantis having a bad personality. Pendo, who do you think will come on top here in this battle?
Well, the thing is, if they're calling him an introvert, how can he have a bad personality? That doesn't even make sense. If you're an introvert, that means you're shy and you stay away from people. An extrovert is more like what Trump is, brash, in your face, wants all the attention on himself, which is fine. But I don't believe the article. That doesn't make any sense. An introvert's not going to freaking win governorship twice of a big state. An introvert is not going to stand up.
Obama was an introvert. He won the presidency.
That's different. The media loves him.
Okay.
It's completely different. And it's different. You damn well know it's different, Tim. A Democrat, for one thing, I don't believe he's an introvert either. Introvert, my ass. My God, when he went out to accept the presidency, you notice he's the only president that didn't even have his family with him. Obama gets up there, accepts, usually introverts are going to hide around other people. He shoos them off the stage, doesn't even mention them in his acceptance speech as the president. He's the only president to ever do that, by the way. Didn't even mention his family.
And I'm gonna give you a chance. Okay, that's interesting to take. I'm gonna give you a chance to follow up with that, Pendo. But Todd, I want to pivot to you for a second. Who has the better personality, Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump?
For politics, Ron DeSantis. I think the article is meant to warn everyone that he's going to be a little bit like Trump. He's not the savior like Pence that's going to roll over. I'm going to quote a friend of mine who grew up with in California named Greg Davis. And Greg is kind of a historian. He's a great shout out to Greg, by the way, who talks about typically the lifer politician on the right is a rollover to the media that steamrolls them. So like Pence would be that way. Pence would be all PC and whatever, somebody like that. What they're warning you is he's not going to back down. And they're trying to pin that on being bad. So, Tim, directly when I said who's better, I don't think he's a baby like Trump, but what he has shown is he does not back down, which I think is what you need. If you go so far the other way, you're a puppet to the left. They like that because they can steamroll you. How many times, last point here, how about when the new guy moves to the area, like when all the alpha male guys say, oh, I don't like that Tim Mitchell guy. If you're an alpha also, they don't like you. But then when it's just a meek guy, they'll be like, I like that guy. He's pretty cool. It means he's not a threat. So what they want is a personality that's not a threat. And they're warning you that it's bad to stand up, which I believe DeSantis will.
A personality that's not a threat. That is That is a very, very, very well said point. Okay, so Pendo, I'm gonna come back to you because something happened with Trump last week regarding a tweet he made on Truth Social regarding his former press secretary, and you think that might have ruffled some feathers among some conservatives. Provide us a little insight on that, if you don't mind, and why some people thought that was upsetting.
Kylie McEnany was one of the best press secretaries I've ever seen in my life. She was beautiful. She was smart. She answered questions. She didn't lie. And she defended Trump to the death. I mean, just constantly defend. She had to get extra security for her family. She could have easily just gone the other way and had a big career, but she chose not to. She stuck with Trump.
Well, Trump pretty much made her, though. We wouldn't know.
No.
Well, in all fairness,
she was already.
We would not know. We wouldn't know who she was if it wasn't for Trump.
I'm telling you, she was already building a career. She was already over there at CNN, so she was already up there. He chose her because of that. So she stuck with him, and you know how Trump is. He pisses everybody off. He's as far as I'm concerned, stabbed everybody in the back that's ever worked for him or ever had anything to do with him if they say the slightest damn thing that he doesn't like. And now he did it to her, and I was like, that's too far for me. You're going after.
What did he actually do, though? What
she got on the air, and which is her job, is to read what they give her, and it was a poll that he was 25 points ahead of DeSantis in some poll. That's great. Trump comes out and immediately he's furious with her, gives her a nickname, Milquetoast McEnany, says the rhinos can have her. I'm like, what the hell? He said, she knows that I was really 35 points ahead of DeSantis because they upped. I'm like, what the hell are you mad at? She still cited a poll where you were 25 points ahead of your opponent. What's your fucking problem?
But it was still wrong.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You don't just come out and start insulting her and attacking her. And is he gonna do that to me next if I do the slightest fucking thing that he doesn't like?
Yeah, or just correct her. Just correct her if you think you're right. You don't
exactly.
Have to,
exactly. She could have just had the wrong page for all he knows. But no, he has to come out and the rhinos can have her. He says Fox ought to hire real stars. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
It did on the first glance appear to be an overreaction, and I'm a hardcore Trumper, but I don't know if this will have any effect on the primary.
It did on me, and that's all I give a shit about. I'm fucking done with him.
Okay. Hey, Pendo, that's fair enough. I mean, you're definitely entitled to your opinion, and I'm grateful that you.
I would still vote for Trump in the main election.
Well, there
not anymore. I don't support him anymore for the nomination. If
fair
he gets it, I'll vote for the fucking idiot. Fair enough. It's either that or a goddamn speed tree stop. Fair enough. We have in the presidency right now.
Fair enough. I want to make a point, then I want to pivot over to Todd. But my point is that it must not have been that bad because on Friday on Fox and Friends, Kayleigh was defending Trump. So it must not have been that bad. Kayleigh said that Trump was the only politician that she's known that has made grown men cry because of his very presence.
You don't understand. Hold on.
Tim. Grown men cry in appreciation.
I got to respond to that.
He said that Friday morning on Fox and Friends. So it must not have been that bad.
I don't care what she thinks of it.
Oh.
She can act any way she wants. Okay. She can forgive the guy if she wants. I'm not gonna. I'm done with that.
Fair enough.
He's gonna go after her. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna go kick a fucking kitten for pissing on the carpet?
For all
Pendo's in love.
For
I'm more angry than anything else.
Pendo's in love with Kylie. Hey, Pendo, for all we know, Trump could have sent a private little text to Kayleigh next day and said, I'm only kidding. This is just me being me. And, for all we know, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Todd, do you think this is something that could actually hurt Trump in the primary, this little Kayleigh thing?
In the primary, perhaps. I think most people have Pendo's thoughts that there's no way, there's nothing they could do to defend if he gets all the way through to make them switch and go left. But in the primary, yes, short answer. But I think broadly, what I think is happening here is I see it even with my own father. I think he already had this borderline baby personality. And now that he's older, I think he's even less. He's so prickly. And it does happen with age. I hate to say it. And I think it's actually kind of happening. And it's just, but lastly, it doesn't hurt him in the polls.
When you age, you get more, shall we say, honest?
Yeah, but you lose your tact.
You lose your tact. There you go. You lose your tact.
But it doesn't hurt him in the polls because what he represents, even the core conservative Midwesterner that might, you'd think, be a little bit sensitive to that type of over prickliness, especially to someone with all the backstory like Pendo mentioned. This isn't just a random attack. It's like pretty blasphemous, at least for those that watched kind of them, help make each other. But the fact that he represents the blowing up of not only the left, all politics, I do not think there's almost anything he could do to lose that base, because what he stands for in their minds, back to the grown men crying, I think they're so appreciative of somebody standing up to politics in general. And that's what he is tapped into. And I think he's a runaway train now in his mind, though. He won't even, so.
Yeah, it's very hard to control Trump. That's for sure. Maybe it was a bad look. My little prediction on this is, by the end of the next week, everyone will already forgotten about it. And I'll make another prediction. Pendo, Trump is so good, he's even going to bring back people like Pendo.
No. I would choose him. If he gets the nomination, I'm voting for Trump. I'm talking about between him and DeSantis.
I'm saying my prediction is you're gonna go with Trump in the primary, but because we're still a year away.
Yeah, that's why I can't believe he's so pissed off about polls. It's like, damn, dude, half the time the polls are wrong anyway.
Well, that's another good point. Okay, so the next topic we have, New York. Is it the New York City Law School that had the speech that?
Yeah. I think it was the Naval Academy.
No,
that was something else, and we'll talk about that.
What happened there?
The fall of the Naval Academy. Tell us about that speech in New York, Pendo. What was that all about?
Todd, did you see this? It was a Palestinian woman with purple hair, as you know, and she was just going off on how evil laws are. Just being here, she is getting her law degree, going on about how evil American law is, and America's evil, and white people are evil, and we need to have a
that law is racist, right?
Yeah, law is racist. Law itself is racist. We need to have a revolution and bring the. I mean, she was calling.
Was she the nominated speaker for the graduating class? I guess.
Either that, or she was the valedictorian, one or the other.
Somehow she was able.
It was at a graduation ceremony. They were all wearing the caps.
Somehow she was able to get up on that podium and make those remarks.
Well, they first.
She's not some random student. She's a student leader, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of the students were angry about her being able to get up there and do that before she did it. And so they weren't going to let her do it. And then, of course, the wokesters got involved, and then she's doing it. I mean, that blew my mind.
You know what's interesting about that, though, is we all know, and Tim's mentioned this, most Dems are total libs. They may not be socially lib, but they are to protect their interests. Like they're not, tort reform, they're not in for that. So her angle, if you look at the core of, I didn't see it, but now that I'm hearing you say it, Pendo, making less government, law is big government, lobby, big government. So what she's saying by bashing that in some ways is actually anti-left.
Interesting.
Well, the fact that she's a Muslim, every single thing the Muslims stand for is anti-left. I really can't believe that they work with them. I mean, over there, they push gay people off buildings. So but it's okay to put Christians down. You can trash the Christians all you want. They won't piss the Muslims off though.
You know what they say about lies. You know, it's hard to keep up with them, right? That's, you know, you start them. I think the woke thing is I made a million from Runaway Freight Train references. I'll make another. It's so out of control. What intended to probably be a woke speech, again, I think they're going to realize, oh shit, that went against us. Like, oh, she called for like less government, less law. There's so many designed things just designed to disrupt. I don't think they even have a handle on it anymore.
And
It's the same.
At Target, we're going to go to
like
Target. We're going to go. These things they're backfiring. It's like lying. It's out of control.
And it's swinging back. And to Todd's point, how they inadvertently go against themselves. The modern day conservative is the classic liberal. Liberal stands for freedom. Liberal means freedom. It's now liberal to be freedom of speech. Okay. Well, freedom of speech has always been a liberal theory. Well, suddenly conservatives are advocating freedom of speech more than leftists are.
Oh, the leftists are calling for censorship.
Exactly. So it's amazing how it's swung the other way. And this kind of brings me to a topic that I had regarding the speech by this person. Somehow she got chosen to make this speech. Would a conservative, white, Christian male, those four elements, ever be picked to do anything ever again?
Nope, at least not for a while. You know what's funny though, and this is kind of their down. This will bring them down eventually. Is their whole philosophy? Their philosophy will destroy them. You see, their philosophy is that everybody's a victim. But do you notice how their victims are starting to turn on each other? Like the women. Well, now you got the women versus the trans women. You got the gays
What's the
versus,
biological?
you know, they're not happy with each other. They're starting to battle each other. We're more of a victim than you are. No, I am. No, we are. You know, you can only do that so long you start to eat each other. So, you know, I think that's happening now.
That's a very good point. But we're still so sensitive to it all. And I'll give you a perfect example of this whole, you know, why the old Christian, white, straight conservative thing is just out. I lived in, and this is back in 2016. This wasn't recent. It started even a little bit before that. It started with Barack Obama, really, this massive Marxism. But I lived in a condo building for a little while.
Before that or after that?
Okay.
What time?
We'll be ready. Yeah.
Okay. TV number one, CNN. TV number two, CNN. And I went to the property manager and I said, hey, can we have like one TV on Fox News and the other TV on CNN?
No.
She was like, that'll never happen. I'm like, well, why? She goes, the board feels like anytime there's a board, and it doesn't matter if it's a corporate board, it doesn't matter if it's a community board, it doesn't matter if it's a homeowner's board, it doesn't matter. Anytime you have a collective group of people getting together, if there's one person on there that objects to conservatism, it's out. So she said, that'll never happen. I said, why not? That's balanced. You've got one side, you've got the other side. That's called balance. That's called true fairness. She said, the board feels that Fox News offends some people. And I said,
well, so does CNN.
I said, CNN offends me. So do I not count? And she was like, no, quite frankly, you don't count. And she wouldn't say it. But the reason why I don't count is because I'm a white Christian conservative male. Okay. So they can offend us all day long. You know, that doesn't matter. But, you know, the fact that a condominium lobby wouldn't have Fox News it just pretty much says it all, doesn't it? I mean, anytime there's any kind of groupthink, if there's one person that objects to it's out, as long as you're not a white conservative Christian male. Todd, thoughts?
It's true. And I hate to say it, if you get to the most minority communities, Latino, African American, they're massively into religion and God. So in this particular case, I hate to say it, they've created racism to trump God. Because you'd think, I mean, if you were talking to someone in that position, you'd say, you know, you'd cite the Christian values and thing, and they're almost always that way. Also, I guess here's what the reality is. Because of the media, we get this momentum based, but it's false momentum based fakeness around how prevalent these issues are, such that it causes people who have broader, probably, by the way, you talk to even single mother, anyone who's gone through that, they're very pro nuclear family. That's not a negative thing. The fact that we're being pro God, pro religion, that's not a negative thing. But they act like those are such negatives, such that they almost brainwash people thinking the other things are more important, like abortion or racism. And it's not actually, if you just isolated them and said, what are your actual values? They're more to the right and conservative. And so it's crazy that how and I hate to say it, the left is so evil at trying to play the game. It's almost like they know mentally they understand what trumps whatever in terms of these narratives they push. Like,
well, just on the surface, anyone with a rational brain would be like, we don't want that. Killing babies. Yeah, we're for that. Higher taxes.
Celebrating it
that.
too, Tim. The key is celebrating it. Celebrating the abortion part, not just like it's a necessary, hey, it's an unfortunate thing, but we want you to have the right. They celebrate it.
They celebrate it. You're absolutely right. They celebrate taxation. They celebrate abortion. They celebrate biological men competing against biological women. And yet, amazingly enough, their messaging is working. Somehow, some way, their messaging is working. Pendo. Target. How in the world can something like satanic baby clothing make it through multiple layers of approval at Target?
I don't know.
How does that happen?
I have no idea. I mean, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard. Even if you're a Marxist, even if you're trying to break the family down, you had to know the Satan thing is not going to work. That's not a good tool. Hey, let's use the devil. You see, even people that don't believe in God, don't believe that there's a devil, they still don't like the idea of the devil. So it still turns people off, even if they're not. And by the way,
it represents evil.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, I hate to tell these people this, they're not just pissing the Christians off. They're pissing the Muslims off, and they're pissing the Jews off. That's like most of the country. So even the regular people that are not religious at all, it's not like they want to hang out with Satan. So that was a bad tool to pull out of their little arsenal.
We're seeing example after.
I have no idea why they did that.
We're seeing example after example after example of large corporations making the most stupid marketing blunders. You had the
Bud Light thing. Knows that.
You had the Bud Light thing. You had
what is it? The equity stand? What is it? The Marxist shit that they're pushing?
Well, exactly. Todd, do you think they finally have learned their lesson over the Bud Light thing, the Target thing, Todd, or do you think these absolute blunders by management and big corporations, this wokeness will continue?
It's like trying to reverse. First of all, I think they have, but to try to reverse the flywheel makes it look worse. I think they're letting it play itself out, but they're underestimated the momentum that has built, and it's negative to them. But they can't just have this hardline CEO message kind of come out, because it's too, number one, it looks like they don't have a handle on their organization. Number two, it's too hardline the other way. So they're hoping it'll die down. But what they've underestimated is the fact that a lot of these things are leaked. Like, so they realize that this has been in the lab somewhere. It's actually not, these are not Super Bowl ads we're talking about, even though some of the Super Bowl ads were woke, but the ones that were most polarizing were like leaked things that are still in the pipeline, and yet they can't come out in a hard line and nix them. So what I think is killing them is the momentum of how long they let this fester, both in terms of promoting management and allowing these really anti-cultural, at least firm-wide culture, not global culture, meaning the cultures of those firms, has been permeated or penetrated by these things that they're unaware of it. And to try to get the old saying, like you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, I think that's what's happening. So I think they've learned. I don't know that they can do anything about it because the momentum is they don't have the courage to pull it back so
It's
massive.
got to be strong, you're saying, among these board of directors.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing. It's truly just unbelievably amazing. I mean, you would think after the Bud Light thing that any other corporation would have learned this lesson. Then Target raised his hand and go, "Oh, hold my beer. I'm going to show you something even worse."
Let me show you how to fuck up. Watch this.
Yeah, right. Let me show you how to screw up. Okay. Speaking of the corporate world, Amazon has required that a large portion of their workforce return back to the office. Okay. In response to that, a significant number of workers have threatened to walk out,
Bye-bye.
quit if
Bye. Bye, workers.
if Amazon really does require them to go back up. And by the way, I don't think it was to go back to the office every day. I think it was to go back to the office like 3 days a week. And a large number of the workers like, nope. That's asking too much here, company that gives me a job and benefits and 401k and everything. That's asking too much. And they threw in some climate change thing as well, just for good measure,
It has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, they just threw it in about the electric cars and demanding
While
that
we're asking for stuff,
have so many,
and I want to buy.
electric cars, by the next 4 years or else. Okay, so Todd, what does this say about the workforce today, particularly the millennials? And this mainly came from workers under the age of 40, by the way. What does this say about the work ethic of the people, the workers under the age of 40?
It says that back to my momentum thing, we started in schools. It started long ago. We started to breed a completely selfish culture. There is no concept of what's the greater good. There's no community. That's why it was easy for them to buy into COVID, and the reality is, by the way, I think it's at this point, this topic is when we should bring up our key sponsor here, Orvis, since 1856, proudly serving family, community, and the outdoors since 1856. And with that said, we need to support companies that are trying to tell their employees, guys, we can do this because we are here for a greater good. That is done in community. And guess what? If you have to sacrifice just a little bit to do that, the concept of asking someone to sacrifice for the greater good is so lost. It's all about me. But yet, okay, Tim, if you're so awesome, you have to go out, and guess what? And as soon as it doesn't work and your tears, who do you go crying to? The fucking government. That's what we've trained. We haven't trained people who are like, fuck you, I'm going to go do. And by the way, when we're going to see this is when these PE and venture investments that have been going on over the last 7 or 8 years that are dog shit fucking companies are about to go absolutely bust. So this selfish culture that everyone thinks they can have these companies called Blam and Fatso and are going to go to fucking shit because their culture sucks. They actually largely are way overly inflated and all this. So all this selfishness says you actually need that company. You need Papa, Mama company to nurture you because you're really not that capable with your grandiose fucking idea where you have no fucking grit. That's about the best way. You have no fucking grit because the first time you get a little sand kicked in your face, you fucking cry. So that's and so, let them leave. But the problem is it's so big, I don't know what to do.
Wait, they have gender studies degrees.
Oh, gender studies. Pendo. Do you think what we're seeing here is the effects of overemployment, meaning the unemployment rate is so low there are more jobs than workers right now. Imagine the conflict that this would create if you have a certain section of workers that say, I've refused to go back to the office, to people that don't have a choice. They have to be at the warehouse.
Hey, hold on.
They
Hold
have
on. Hold on.
wherever. And these other
North
workers
Korea
are just,
needs laborers. Just send them there.
send them to where?
North Korea.
Yeah.
They
Send
need
North Korea
laborers.
to their utopia. They need labor.
You can work at home there. Yeah, you can get everything you want, man.
Uh-huh.
Damn right. They'll
Everything.
give you a shovel.
So speaking of products and services that are delivered to your doorstep, the United States Postal Service has been in the news lately, and the reason is because we're seeing a record number of theft occurring in the mail. And when I say in the mail, it's not just, you put something in a mailbox and a kid rides by and grabs your mail and rides off. No, I'm talking about like inside the United States Postal Service. Workers have gone rogue and they're stealing.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Workers have gone rogue and they're stealing the mail. They're being so brazen about it. Sometimes they go through the mail and they only take the things that are most valuable and they put the other valuable stuff back in, and then the rest of it gets shipped, like the tissues, or whatever. Inside the Postal Service, inside the blue boxes, inside the buildings, it has gotten so bad that people are now fearful of mailing anything of value in the United States Postal Service. Pendo, this crime spree that's occurring both inside jobs in the United States Postal Service and just, the old-fashioned just lift a check out of someone's mailbox. Do you think this is because there's just a lack of accountability in law enforcement? Or what do you make of this? Why is this going on so rapidly right now?
What's happened everywhere? Why shouldn't they do it? They want to get in on it too. I mean, hell, when you can just live in Portland and just walk into a Walmart and just take things off the shelves and throw it into a cart, and then take the cart too, and then pull it up to your truck and throw the cart into your truck. Oh, by the way, then go back in while that's sitting there and get some more. Maybe even take some money out of the register if you can get to it. Oh, and if there's a security guard with a gun, go take his gun. He's not going to do anything. It'll be all right. Just take his gun, slap him a little bit, and then leave. Well, what I'm saying is, I'll bet you the majority of this stuff that's happening with the mail, it's probably happening in the larger Democrat-run cities where they know they're not going to be prosecuted, even if they're caught, especially if they're black. If I get caught doing it, I'm going to jail.
Chris, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying.
A lot of black people would agree with me on that.
Yes. I mean, you see it on Twitter every day. I don't know if you guys get on Twitter recently since Elon Musk took it over, but you see it on Twitter literally every day. There's a new video of I'll call them, Democrats going into a Walmart, going to a Target, going to a convenience store, just taking whatever they want.
Yeah.
And walking out with it.
It's not just that, it's also the attorney generals in these cities not prosecuting.
So these postal workers feel kind of left out. They're kind of like, where's my free stuff? Todd, do you think that all of this stealing that is going on in our society today, do you think that's a result of policy, or do you think that's a result of culture?
Both. I think the culture part associates you with, like, let's look at Hunter Biden. What gives you that level of brazenness? You're associated with high-level politics. You've been given air cover. And what you would think, here's the irony to this type of identity politics / culture, is when have you ever heard, or it could happen with athletes, when you say, how could that guy who just signed a $110 million contract drive drunk? How could Hunter Biden, who has all this amazing, just stay under the radar? Because it starts with a culture of letting things slide to the point where you get so brazen. Paul Pelosi, why would you do that when you have all this awesome? Because you, at that point, believe that you have such air cover. So that's where the policy meets the identity politics. And now they look at it and they think they're a part of that inside base. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be black, white. It could be anything. When you associate that with what you're doing, you feel protected by it. So like, yeah, I think they actually believe that there's air cover for them to be able to do this.
Yeah, they're definitely giving the air cover. No doubt about it. It's almost like they're protecting the thieves and they're leaving the law-abiding citizens just to fend for themselves. I mean, that's kind of how it feels. Could you imagine, Pendo, being a store owner in a large city in America right now? How would you feel if you were just a retailer, just a regular retailer in a large American city?
Well, you were wrong about what you just said. They're not leaving us to fend for ourselves. We're not allowed to fend for ourselves. If we defend ourselves, we do go to jail.
Yeah, we get in trouble.
If they attack us, they're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about black or white. I'm talking about criminal, non-criminal.
Fair enough.
However, if you're in a big city, especially in Chicago, it doesn't hurt to have a certain skin color while you're committing a crime.
What would happen?
The problem isn't just that they feel that. Hold on, Tim. It's not just that they feel that way because of their culture or whatever reparations. It's mainly because these DAs will not prosecute black people when they attack white people. They are still prosecuting white people for attacking black people.
Not necessarily attacking. I rarely see white people attacking black people for no reason. What you see is black people beating the shit out of white people, and if a white person tries to defend themselves,
you can't do that.
Taken to jail.
Yeah,
and
that's happening. That's going to go to the post office.
Go on Twitter and look at the videos. Yeah. Go on Twitter and look at the videos. You'll see it. Before Elon Musk took it over, they would never show those videos on Twitter ever. Since Elon Musk took it over, those videos are on Twitter.
And what is the
video every day?
I have a question, but I mean this. What is the thing between black people and Asian people?
I don't know, because
my God, they really don't like Asian people. If you see all those videos of them being attacked, it's as soon as I see, it's like, oh, this is an attack. I already know what it's going to be. Some big, huge black guy is going to get beat up.
I have an opinion,
and I don't know why.
It'll be controversial. This started like with the Wyatts and so forth. They used to own almost all those, which gets back to a further conspiracy theory about the number of places that sold cigarettes and beer and stuff in those bad neighborhoods. But guess the Koreans typically ran them. But the part is when they were trying to act like they were so oppressed. This was an Asian culture, keep in mind, that was imprisoned in World War II. And it almost was like a slap in the face that said, we don't care. There's freedom in this country. Watch us. And it was almost like they were trying to cry so poor and so oppressed. And yet the Asians, like a lot of cultures do, just persevered right under their fucking nose.
Yeah.
So they would rob those convenience stores and all those things because it was almost like and they would still rebuild it. Almost the perseverance was admirable. And so that's one of the cultural dynamics was they were the ones that ran those right on, that they thought was in their hood.
Remember that story, Todd? And I'm going back at least 10 years ago. It's been a while. I'm sure it's happened since then, but the media may not cover it. A Korean store owner was being robbed, by a group of black people. And the Korean store owner took out a gun and shot one of the robbers in the head. Well, there was a massive outcry of the Korean store owner should go to jail, should be in prison, and all this kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
She was defending herself. I mean, she was literally defending herself. So what happened was she got to the jury and everything. And the jury said, hey, you had probable cause. You're out. And there were all these riots. There were all these outcries about how wrong that was, how bad it was. To Todd's point, I think he brings up a great point. The Asians are a minority. They're a minority. They were so oppressed in World War II. I mean, they were sent off in camps, and it didn't matter, in the Korean War and World War II, but, so, and they overcame that, and their standard of living is very high. So I think it could be more of it's a hatred thing, or it could be a class envy thing. you know,
That's the best way to say it, I think.
it could be the class enemy thing. So, moving on to one more topic here before we get to final thoughts and predictions. Joe Biden,
Joey B,
Joey B,
my favorite part, man.
was giving a commencement speech at the was it the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy? One of the two.
I think it was Naval.
Naval Academy, and walking towards the podium or away from the podium towards the seat, he took a fall. I mean, he stumbled and fell. Is that the look that you want of our commander-in-chief, Todd?
No, it also tells me how much there has to be like an internal pressure. He won. He's technically accomplished about everything you can, allegedly, in politics in his own mind. Why would you run again? Right off into the sunset. So the answer is no. He's being truly stood up, not quite literally, almost.
He's 80 years old.
Yeah, he's being stood up, but falling down, standing up. And so it's not the look, and it's just, I mean, how many more of these do you need to see? Think about what it must be like privately. Anything, you can go on and on. No, and I can't believe, I never want to say this, but it's right on the line of almost feeling sorry for him.
Yeah. Pendo, your thoughts? Is his frailty an issue when it comes to being the commander-in-chief?
I mean, come on, man. That sandbag was moving around. I mean, look, we all know the guy's a corpse. This is weekend at Biden's for 4 years.
That's one of the best
running
things
around
you've
with
ever
him.
said.
They're just running around with him. I think he died a couple of years ago. I really do. I think that's why we're sunglasses all the time. He doesn't know where he's at. You know why he's always trying to shake the hands of a ghost? Because he's fucking dead. He's not really there. He's seeing a ghost.
And they're all the other ones where he's halfway good are deep fakes, a version of that, probably so.
And it was the same ghost that was arresting AOC and Ulan Iman.
Yeah,
it was the same one. Remember those fake handcuffs?
Yeah.
Ghost cop.
That's a great theory. Okay, final thoughts and predictions, Todd.
This is obvious, but it is going to get way worse before it gets better with the Trump. We opened this by saying we're done and whatever. He is just getting started. I remember, here's my prediction. I said how deep the Republican bench strength was. So when you saw him do the anti-Ronald Reagan, which was don't talk bad about Republicans, he's going to have to go deep into his bag of tricks because there is a deep bench. So the fireworks, my prediction is the fireworks are just getting started. And by the way, because he can't get blocked on Twitter anymore, the fireworks for the 4th of July basically just started.
Get your popcorn out.
Oh,
Final thoughts.
well, you know what we didn't mention was the Twitter thing.
What about the Twitter thing?
With them shutting down that video.
What video?
Oh, you didn't hear about all that?
Uh-uh.
The Matt Walsh video.
Let's save it. I like Matt Walsh. Save it.
You want to keep it?
Just as we're wrapping up, I love Matt Walsh because I want to go talk about it a lot, but I think we're wrapping up.
No.
Well, this is a big story, though.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, no, we'll talk about it next week more. But what it is it was the year anniversary of What Is a Woman, and so Twitter was going to do this big thing and promote it and send it out everywhere and all this stuff. And then right before they were supposed to do it, they came out and said, not only are we taking it down, we're going to call it hate speech, and this is evil. And if anybody tries to click on it, we're going to burn their house down. All this stuff. And Ben Shapiro and them came out and said, "What the hell, dude?" They said, "This is a note to Elon. We had a deal. We were going to do all this. Are you going to have free speech or not? I mean, what's the deal?" Elon quickly responded by saying, "Hey, this is a mistake. Heads are going to roll. I'm going to fix it." Next thing you know, two different people resign from the what is it? The safety board.
See,
You
that,
know,
that supports my point about how much they've infiltrated companies. They're
That's
in
right.
there, and these are in all over us now.
in other words, it might take him a little longer. That's his company. He owns it. And
Right.
deal with that.
Remember when all the libtards were justifying the censorship on Trump by saying, "Well, they're a private company; they can do what they want."
Exactly.
They're a private company.
You're a
They can
private
do what they
company.
want. Where are those libtards now?
Hey,
Where
hey,
are those
hey, by the
libtards?
way, just so you know,
Twitter's a private company. He can
hey,
do what he
hey,
wants.
Elon did get involved. He fired the people and he promoted it on his own Twitter feed. He told it, he advised everybody to go watch it. So that's going to be,
Okay.
in other words, Elon came out and said, hey, because of all this controversy, yeah, we accidentally probably promoted it more anyway. So in the
And
end,
this was
you know,
what, a 1-year anniversary of celebrating womanhood? What is this?
no, he did a great documentary called "What Is a Woman," where he was going
Matt
around.
Wall.
Yes.
Oh my
And he-
God, Tim, you get
I
all over
can't
that.
believe you don't know that. That's
I'll look
everywhere.
I'll look it up.
He was asking libtards, "What is a woman?" And they would respond by, "That's a very offensive question. I can't believe you would ask me that
But
question."
these are everything from the surgeons that were promoting. I mean, all the key people,
Yeah, all the key
women's rights
people.
groups. It was well done. You got to go see it.
Is when the Supreme Court justice couldn't define what a biological woman is.
Actually, it came out around that time.
Yeah.
That's around the time it came out.
Okay. All right, that's good. Yeah, I think we should table that for next week and take a deeper dive into that.
Yeah, and take
That'll
a deeper
be good.
dive into that.
All right, so my final thought and prediction, the debt ceiling. So Congress just approved, they put another $4 trillion on the credit card. We're going to go before the midterms next year, that'll be gone. They'll have to revisit that. They'll have to extend it. They'll have to extend it.
Hey, I never did a prediction.
It's not going to last long at all. Okay, what's that, Pindo?
I think DeSantis is going to beat Trump in the primary.
Oh, I'll take the other side on that one. Trump's going to win.
Don't get me
Trump's
wrong. If Trump gets it, I'm voting for him. But I think DeSantis is going to take it. I think Trump's going to put his foot in his mouth.
You're on record. We got you on record.
Who's he going to go after next? His kids?
I thought about that.
Well, Ivanka did resign from the presidential campaign. Maybe he'll go after her. No, I'm kidding. He never would do that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
He would never do. Yeah, I think that's more of a Jared thing. I think
Pendo, who do you like better, like attractive wise, Kayleigh McEnany or Eric Trump's wife, Laura?
I think you know that. I think you know the answer.
I gotta go with Laura on that one.
Oh, hell no.
She's got the voluptuous thing going. If you're into that,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Kylie's
The
got
key
the
thing, I
front-
can see him going after her, I guess, because she's so a little. I mean, that could happen. Because Eric is kind of softer. He's kind of faded in the background. She's more vocal than he is. So if in the fact that she kind of has a media presence, she might say something just like on the line. I can see him doing that.
Oh man.
No, my favorite jelly is strawberry. I hate you now. It's like,
Well, it's been insane. Insanity Island. Till next time, loyal viewer. What do you have? One viewer? How many viewers we have? One or two?
last time we had 30 views.
30.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
We
We're
got
gaining
fans.
an audience.
Orvis,
Dude, that's in the double digits.
dude, Orvis is
Double
going to be
digits. Whoa. Till next
Good
time.
stuff, guys.
Later, guys.
Later.